Different courts and tribunals across the various jurisdictions can require different skills from judges, who must be adaptable to different requirements.
I sit in tribunals making decisions about social security appeals, and we tend not to use courts. We tend to hold our hearings in rooms with desks, large desks. We all sit around large desks. So, and we very often, we don't have the coat of arms or things that make a court look like a court. So that immediately means that I need to establish authority because there can be a perception that this is a relaxed kind of chat. And also I'm conscious that being a woman, I don't necessarily look like people's perception of a judge. And that can sometimes give rise to a need for me to make sure that everybody understands that I am the judge and that this is a legal hearing. Not using formal language is a way that I find is more effective in ensuring that I have authority, although that sounds like the opposite might be the case. But if people understand what I'm saying, I have found that that means that they're more likely to trust that I know what I'm doing and that this is a legal hearing that's going to lead to a conclusion. If I can establish that as early as possible in the course of the hearing, then it's going to be easier for me to ensure that people have the best opportunity to give me the evidence that I need to hear in what are often quite short hearings, depending on the type of appeal that I'm dealing with.
Contempt can actually cover a wide variety of sins, if I can use that word. I think today I'm going to focus just on contempt in the face of the court. And that's really about disobedience in the courtroom, or certainly disobedience that the judge becomes aware of. And that can take many different guises. It could be the defendant who swears at you. It could be the defendant or the witness who just becomes very obstructive. Whether that in fact is a contempt at all. It could be people refusing to stand. It could be something horrible like a rat being thrown at the court clerk. That's a bizarre example which is actually quoted in a Law Commission consultation paper on contempt. So it can cover a wide range, photographing, tape recording, willful insults. Contempt of court deals with that. There are also statutory provisions which separately cover some of those. But the real question is, how do you deal with somebody who has crossed the line? The reality is that you may turn a blind eye to much of it and just let it go. Certainly in my court, the defendant who's walking down the steps back into the van to return to prison, what he says on leaving to go back to prison is unlikely in many circumstances to bother me. It may be that it's serious enough that you can't let it go and you may be looking for an apology. There may be circumstances where even an apology is not enough. And you're going to think long and hard, I think, in relation to any formal action. It may be that you become the target of the contempt yourself as the judge. I think a key skill of the judge is to be able to stand back, stay calm. There have been occasions when I've risen to allow somebody to calm down before continuing. In my own jurisdiction, we have the freemen on the land, and they will often bring in tape recording equipment. And the important thing there is not only to be on guard for things that may happen elsewhere in the courtroom, but the importance of staying calm irrespective of what comes your way.